Hello guys, this is the Betamax man. Well, I finally have got around to taking a look at my Magnavox CRT television set. This is a stereo television set, and I just now got around to testing it. Now what I did hook up my CED player to the analog monitor, and we're gonna see just how good a not LaserDisc, CED video disc looks on that. So let's get my Star Wars in, and this is a stereo model, so and I'll pull it out. Alright, so we're going to hit play, and there she is. She's going to wind up here. Yeah, not too bad. We don't have color yet. There we go. Well, it doesn't look that great. This CRT, I think once we get into the film, but this disc does have some, this is a Star Wars disc, so obviously this disc was heavily used. So, I have some CEDs that were in really good shape, and then some that are playable, but yet have some form of usage where disc, kind of damage to the disc. If the disc, some of my discs, they skip, and that's sometimes because there's dirt on the disc. And sometimes it's because, if there's a small speck of dirt or something, it can skip. Or some of the discs where the disc is physically worn out, or the disc is starting to wear out. In this case, this disc does have some signs of, it's been played a lot, so the picture's not that great, but let's forward search. Yeah, see, now it looks better. But black always was a hard color to reproduce with analog. The color black, the color red, and green was another one that was kind of hard to reproduce. But let's put the volume on. I hope YouTube doesn't copyright me, but we're gonna turn the volume up here. Not bad. I'm gonna turn the TV a little bit, and then I'm gonna back up. Obviously, this TV's working really good, so I'm hoping that YouTube will be kind and not copyright me for this. This one does have a built-in DVD player, and the DVD player does work. So I did test that. I don't even know what's on the DVD. But this was in a RV. This was a friend of the family who had an RV. I think it was his son-in-law had an RV, and it broke down, and they towed it to his property. And the thing just sat there, and he was going to demolish the RV that the TV was in. And I asked my dad, I said, can you ask them and see if I can have the TV? And he said, yeah, sure. And so my dad asked Terry if I could have his TV that was inside there. He said, yeah, sure. So that's how I became in possession of it. But this disc does not play very well. It actually looks a little bit better on my modern high definition television set. Well, one of the reasonings for that is basically because this TV will upconvert the standard definition signal. It will upconvert it to 720, and so that gives the player a little bit of an edge, a little bit of an advantage. But as you can see, that this it looks fine. I still think that this is better than VHS quality. It just depends on how good your discs are. If your discs are in really good condition, your picture quality is going to be really good. This particular disc, this is a Star Wars disc, so, and the guy had this in his personal collection, and it still has very good, it's still a working disc, and you can still watch the movie. It's a very watchable picture, but the picture is not, not even close to LaserDisc, obviously, because LaserDisc has a really good quality picture, because you see LaserDisc is around 425 lines. Well, a standard CRT can be up to 480. So, you're getting the full potential of the tube TV when you hook a LaserDisc player up to it. Or if you hook up an ED beta to it. But I would like to maybe take the TV and put it, drop the TV down a little bit. I just purchased a 20-inch CRT made by Funai. Funai was the last one of the last main electronics companies that were making not only VHS machines, they were making televisions, they were making radios, they were making a bunch of different stuff. And they were rebadging them Magnavox, Sylvania, Sharp. Well, maybe not Sharp, but I know that Magnavox, Sylvania, Emerson was another one that they were made by the Funai company in the early 2000s. Funai company used to be a Japanese company, but now that ain't the case. They're a Chinese-made piece of crap. So Funai doesn't make great products. They did back in the day, but nowadays, no. But let's see if there's any other discs that might play, that might be a little better, because I do have other discs, and I'll see what, we'll see if there's any discs that are in better condition. Here's a decent disc. This one's in fairly good shape. It's still, this one's actually in really good condition compared to the Star Wars one that I was playing. But it's pretty good. This is American Graffiti, and this one is a stereo model, or a stereo version, which I love stereo versions. I always love looking at these old cars. That's why I like this one. That's why I love this. It's in pretty good condition. I will say that my modern TV does kind of look a little bit better because, like I said, it has up converting capability. "16 candles." This is a George Lucas film as well. I believe this one was made before Star Wars. But these old cars, these are so cool. Like I said, hopefully YouTube will be go easy on me and not give me a copyright claim for demoing this TV and the LaserDisc. Yeah, we can hook up my LaserDisc player and we can see how good my LaserDisc looks in comparison to CED, because now obviously LaserDisc is going to be much better quality image, but this tube TV is not a very good one. This is not a very good TV. This is a Funai made piece of crap in my opinion, so. But I took it because it was a CRT, and if I ever want to get it. I used to play the original Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt and all that when I was a kid. Back when I was a kid, I remember when all that came out, and it was awesome. The original Mario Brothers, I mean, we thought that was awesome. My dad purchased a original Nintendo. He bought it used. Obviously, it was used, but it was a original NES, and Dad bought it in the Christmas of '92. And we played a lot of Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. So this is good for that. Well, let's hook up my LaserDisc player, and we'll see how good that picture quality is with that, because also we can hook up a beta machine too. But that's not a bad picture right there. It's definitely a watchable picture. So, but if you're trying to compare standard def to high definition, there's no comparison. We know that high def is, the best that you're going to get. Well, now we have 4K, but, will I get a 4K TV? I might. But right now I'm waiting for the 4K players to come down in price. So let's hook up a LaserDisc to it and see what the LaserDisc looks like. Maybe we'll do a comparison between the LaserDisc Star Wars and the CED. Oh, another thing I want to mention. It depends on how the movie was mastered. If it was mastered lousy, the quality is going to be lousy. So let's just put my disc away here. This player that I bought a couple months ago, it is a beautiful player. I don't care that it's mechanical. I like the mechanical. Okay, this is the one that we're going to play. This one has the THX digitally remastered. So I think this is going to give us the best transfer. So let's put the disc in and see what it looks like. Yeah, you can definitely see how good LaserDisc is just by looking at the black. See the black, and there's no lines or anything. I mean, you got 425 lines with LaserDisc versus 240 with RCA Selectavision CD. It's got the THX LaserDisc. So I'm just gonna forward so that we can get a good view. So let's see where my forward buttons are. Nope, that's chapter. Never mind, we don't want that. We want fast forward. Now, of course, this is widescreen because this is a widescreen release, and as you can see, the colors are a lot more brighter because you got LaserDisc is as close to DVD quality as you're gonna get. So an analog video such as LaserDisc, as you can see, the clarity is a lot better. You zoom in a little bit, you can see the quality. Of course, the camera's acting up because it's filming a CRT, and but you can see how good the quality is. So let's try the pan and scan version, the original pan and scan, and see how that looks. Yeah, still got a good picture, even though the pan and scan version's not quite as clear as the THX remaster, but it's still pretty damn good. This one was mastered really well, so just gonna go until we get to this. Yeah, you can definitely tell that LaserDisc is definitely a superior format compared to RCA's Selectavision. Yeah, LaserDisc was really great. This is what we have, man, and this is the CLV. I have the CAV version, and they say that the CAV was, which was constant angular velocity, was a hair sharper than the CLV, which was constant linear velocity. Now, the CED Selectavision video discs were recorded in that CLV mode because video discs can hold 60 minutes per side, just like a LaserDisc, but they had LaserDiscs that would hold 30 minutes per side, and look how clear and sharp that picture is with the LaserDisc versus the CED. I also have Raiders of the Lost Ark on both CED and LaserDisc. But this TV, I'm happy with it. It's not, I think the CEDs, you can definitely tell the difference in the quality, but CED is still good quality. I mean, it's still good. It's still a nice, picture. It's not, gonna be LaserDisc quality. I would say CED is a more Betamax quality, I would say. Let's hook up, how about we play my Star Wars on my Betamax, on my, let's just hook up my SL2700. Let's hook up the Beta Hi-Fi one. Okay, here's my Star Wars Betamax, and the sticker is loose, so I need to re-glue the sticker. But for now I'm gonna put it aside because I don't want the sticker going inside the machine and getting stuck in there. So alright, just put it in. I have to use my remote for this machine simply because the buttons are broken. And the guy said he had all the buttons to it, but he lied. He had the cover, the button cover, but the actual buttons he didn't have. So yeah, look at that. That's still good quality. You know, even, you know, of course, Beta was good quality. But now I'm reassured that, yes, Beta is a superior format. Let's fast forward here. Oh, I love Beta. Beta is going to look so good. I can't wait until I get my new 20-inch CRT. So we've tried the CED, the LaserDisc, the Betamax on the same movie on these 3 different formats. Yes, I do have it available on, look how good that quality is. Look at that sharpness and that quality. That quality, my friend, you're not going to get that from a VHS. You're just not. You know. Yes, Beta did have a superior picture. Well, look at that quality. It actually looks a lot better on the tube TV than it does the modern high-def TV. So basically what I'm going to do is move my Beta machines. Either move them up on top, or move them maybe in the middle there, and put my 5mm Creek tape somewhere else, and then put my I might just put the Beta players over there on the top shelf there, because there's a 20-inch TV, which this is actually designed to fit a 27-inch or a, no, I think it's a 25-inch. This entertainment center is set up to hold a 25-inch TV. And I've got a 20-inch TV coming. So this, basically the screen's going to be about as big as this stack of Betas. So the screen's going to be about this high and probably about that wide. So, it's a Funai TV, just like this one. You know, but I don't care. I just want a good working stereo tube TV. Not a mono tube TV, a stereo tube TV, which is what I got. So I've got a 13-inch, and I've got a 20-inch coming. So, you know, the screen's going to be a little bigger because that's a 13-inch, and I'm going to have a 20-inch. And my high-def TV is going to stay up on top. Mainly the high-def TV is going to be set up for watching Blu-rays and HD DVDs and streaming online. That's where my high-def TV is going to be used for. But if I'm watching a CED, a LaserDisc, a Betamax, a VHS, a ED Beta, a Super VHS, a Betacam. Oh wait, I don't have a Betacam. Well, maybe not Betacam, because I don't have one. But maybe I'll get one, I don't know. I just never seen the point in having a Betacam. I always loved the Betamax format. But look at the clarity of that picture. I mean, that is just beautiful. You cannot get that with VHS. You're just not. So, Anyway, we'll go ahead and rewind this tape back to the beginning. I actually like the 2700 is really good for playing back, you know, Beta 2 and Beta 3 tapes. You know, the 1000 will do the same thing. The 1000 is, you know, the best. I mean, the 1000, that's the best Betamax player you're ever going to get. But I like the 2700 for playing back tapes because the 711D chassis has a direct drive motor for both the take-up and supply rails. So each reel has a direct drive motor. There are some really old beta tapes that are kind of sticking together and they have a little bit of a stiction problem. They'll play back in my 2700 better than they will anything else. So that's one of the reasons why I got my 2700. Let's hit reset on the counter and eject. And I'll put my sticker back on the tape there. But the sticker came off. And this is a Scotch tape, but this is a brand new tape. This tape was sealed at one time. And when I opened it up, the glue deteriorated. So the glue is deteriorated. But let's put it back into its box. Okay, so here's the VHS of the Star Wars. Now this is going to give it, it's going to have a little bit of an edge because it's been mastered in THX. See, it's been digitally mastered. So, and this particular machine is a Super VHS. And the Hi-Fi doesn't know what the hell to do with itself, does it? So let's power forward it. I can see the graininess. You can see the grain. You have to get... You can see the quality difference between beta and VHS. There's a little bit more color bleeding with VHS. It's a little bit more grainy, and it may be hard to detect on the camera. It's probably going to be hard to detect on the camera, but you can slightly see just a little bit of a difference. Like with the black, it's a little grainy, and there's a lot of color bleeding with VHS. Okay, you can see the color bleeding right there, and look at the color bleeding. Look how grainy that picture is. See the grain? See how grainy that is? That is why Betamax was a superior format. We're going to forward it about 5-6 minutes. Yeah, this was a... So apparently in the beginning of this tape, they have previews. So I'm going to fast forward it to the part where I want to see. Yeah, you can see the grain. graininess of the VHS. Now it's hard to tell, but if you look at it real closely, you can see that the color bleeding is more with VHS than Beta, and there's a little bit of graininess going on. So if you take a look here, there's a lot of color bleeding and a lot of graininess with VHS. So this is what you see with VHS. You get a lot of grainy, and then the color bleeding. Let me hit play and we'll show you how bad the color bleeding is with VHS. Beta doesn't have that color bleeding saturated look that VHS does. Now you're going to see a lot of color bleeding here once we get into the color. See all that red color bleeding all over? It really shows up in the VHS tapes. See VHS, see how red that, I mean that's just terrible. So that's the difference between Beta and VHS. Beta did have a better picture, and Beta didn't have the color bleeding problems that we have with VHS. VHS is grainy, it's got a lot of color bleed, and that's basically what you're seeing with VHS. So I'm going to go ahead and rewind this thing back to the beginning and take the tape out. But and this was done in THX. So it was the best transfer available. But this was one of the latest releases. Now, I believe that this particular release might have had some changes done to it. One of the things that you can do is like we can, if we went on A New Hope, or no, Empire Strikes Back, and if it's got the, and then there's a scene in number 5 where Darth Vader is talking, he's kneeled on one knee talking to Lord Sidious, and the original part of it, the guy, it looked like a mask, like a clay mask is what it looked like, you know, that's what his face looked like. So, but in the newer releases where they changed some things, George Lucas did some changes where they redone the Lord Sidious. They redone how he looked and everything. So what we could do is go to Empire Strikes Back VHS with this particular release, and let's just see if it was changed or if it's still the original. Because I'm curious to see if these are still the original or have they been changed. So let's get the number 5, and let's I'm gonna fast forward it to the scene, and then we'll see if there was changes, because I believe this particular boxed set was the later like I think 98, 99 release of it. I think this was from 1998 or 99 release, and where George Lucas actually changed some of, you know, they started changing the original version. I think they should have left the original version alone. They should have left it the same, you know. Alright, now let's get this is the box set that I have that were, so The Empire Strikes Back. So let's just see if they changed. That's just a certain scene that I know that they changed. If they changed it, that scene, then we'll know that this was not the original, the way it was originally. Yeah, this was the boxed set that came out. This box set right here, and that's the set that I wanted because I wanted it to match the prequel trilogy. You know, number 1, 2, and then of course number 3 was not. I've already explained why I have that, and this is actually just somebody selling it on eBay. They did a pretty good job making a clone of what it would look like had they released it in the US. Okay, it's at the scene I want it. Here's the scene I'm talking about. See, it's the original. This is still the original release.
We have a new enemy.
Unless this was not done until a little bit later on. It might have been the early 2000s when they changed this scene. So they might have left this scene in, but maybe other ones were changed. But I think this is the original. This is still the original trilogy. This is still has not been changed, but there's an awful lot of graininess and color bleeding with VHS. So VHS is crap, in my opinion. And there's other, you know, beta files out there that will, you know, definitely agree with me that that beta was definitely better than VHS. You know, beta was definitely superior in picture quality. Now, one of the reasons why is, well, I've explained this in a previous video of mine. But a video recorder will record diagonal lines. This is how the signal is being recorded to the tape. And it's being recorded in diagonal lines. And the lines are actually at a different angle with beta, and it's a longer stripe recorded because beta was able to record more detail on the tape and more clarity. And the larger head and the faster tape speed, the wider signal. The signal's recorded, you know, in diagonal stripes, and it's a longer stripe. So that was, you know, this was explained in one of my other videos, and if you haven't seen that video, I suggest you watch it, because I explain why beta is better. Because it's one thing to say it or see it, but when you hear it and you can see why, I don't know, it's like you can see in that video. Click on my channel and you'll scroll down, because I uploaded that video just a little over a month ago, so it should be it's definitely in my list of videos. But I explain, I actually do talk about and show you why beta was better. So we're not just talking about it, we're showing why. So you can watch that video if you want. But I'm glad I got the JVC, you know, because my Sony went out on me. My Sony SLV R5UC went out on me, which I'm gonna go ahead and repair later on. I've got so many projects going on right now that it's hard to keep them, you know. It's hard to keep it all, you know. To try to get through them all, you know. I don't have a whole lot of time on my hands, you know. But, okay, so this release was on LaserDisc as well. This was the last time, this was probably the last version, the last time you would get the original version. Also, there was a scene in Return of the Jedi, at the very end of Return of the Jedi, where they're showing, in spirit form, they're showing, you know, Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda. And it shows the original actor that was, his face was shown, and when they redid it, they changed it to the young character that played Anakin in the first, you know, in episodes 1 through 3. So that actor's face was replaced, the original face. So just to show you, what we can do is we could do number 6, and we could fast forward all the way to the end, and we can see, let's just see if this is, let's just make sure that there was no changes done to this particular version, because this version, I believe it, now I'm thinking back, I believe this was the last time that you can get the original trilogy unchanged, unaltered. This is the Virgin version. We're gonna get close to the scene here. So we'll get to the scene. This is at the end. Here we go. This is the original film, guys. The original actor right there. Let me back up. See, there we go. There's the original actor. So this is the original version. Now I'm going to rewind it, and that'll conclude this video. Where, you know, of course, we were checking out the tube TV, but then we got to talking a little bit about Star Wars and changes that were made. But this is the last time that they released it on VHS, and it was the last time that you could get the original uncut, unaltered trilogy. We want to see it the way it was in the movie theater. This is the way they were shown in the movie theater, and this is why we did this video, because I wanted to show you that yes, this particular release with the black spine, you know, this is the original. This has not been changed or altered. This was before George Lucas started changing things. Now, from what I understood, that you can get the, there is a DVD version that they transferred, that was mastered from, had to turn my CED player off. Supposedly there was a DVD release of the original uncut trilogy that was supposedly mastered off of DVD, or not, no, LaserDisc. Sorry, it was mastered off LaserDisc. So the DVD was mastered off these LaserDiscs. I don't think that's true because they usually don't. They don't master things off of LaserDiscs. They master them off of either 1-inch or 2-inch videotape. See, there's a 1-inch master is usually what they'll do is they'll get it from the original master tape. So this story about people saying, oh yeah, the untouched original Star Wars trilogy was mastered off of the LaserDiscs. No, they were not. They don't master things that way. They master them off of the 1-inch videotape or a 2-inch, but a lot of cases it's the 1-inch. There was a Ampex 1-inch master tape that they mastered this stuff off of. You know, it says digitally mastered, meaning that it was recorded from a digital source. Okay, so, and then, you know, this was like, and then of course, here's the original trilogy release. Yeah, I think what I will do is try to find the original trilogy on VHS. Because these are the beta ones. This is a beta copy. This is a set on beta. And Betamax doesn't have the color bleeding. It doesn't have the graininess of a VHS. You can see the color bleeding a lot more than you can the graininess of the picture. But let me show you this set one last time. But here you go. This was the last release on VHS. So here's the order that they go in. Of course, I think everybody knows what order it goes in, but it goes A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and then finally The Return of the Jedi. And that is the set. This is the box set that you will want to buy. Because this set, the reason I bought this particular set is because it matches the number 1 and number 2. So this is I love Star Wars. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. So it will match this set. They match the prequel trilogy. The number 1, number 2, and number 3. This was bought online. This was bought from a seller on eBay. He was selling this. What it is, this is a made-up counterfeit type thing. This is not. This is the way it would have looked had it been released in the U.S. This is the way it would have looked. This was released. Revenge of the Sith, we did not get it on VHS in the US. However, the UK and Japan had a VHS release of this movie. And when I found this online, I bought it. I didn't care that it was a counterfeit because it matches the other two. So I have a matching set. And yes, it's expensive. The guy charges about $40 per tape. But it's worth the $40 to me because I now have the complete collection. Now, instead of having the printed, because these are actually, labels are actually printed onto the tape itself. But because the seller, you know, he had to make it. So what he did was he made the label the way it would have looked had it been printed onto the tape. Because if you look at one of the original, like the real version, you can see, so it's a little different. But it is a little bit different as far as, you know, he should have, yeah, he did actually kind of make it somewhat. He should have made, well, no, this one has it like that. So it's very close to this one. So it depends on the year. This was probably the logo for the newest one, and this was the logo for the oldest one. But meaning that the release dates, because they released these a couple, at least 2 or 3 times they released. So, but anyway, I just wanted to have, and I know this is an extremely long video, and if you're still watching this video, well, that's amazing. Look at the, I want you to look at the detail that was spent on making. Also, you could tell it's because it's got a cardboard. So this was printed out. This was a made thing that was homemade. But he done such a wonderful job on here. You notice you got the mask, Darth Vader's mask, in the picture. And on the Phantom Menace, you have Darth Maul, his eyes and stuff. That's, I mean, this is very, very detailed. So he really did pay attention to what the label, what the box set would look like had, you know, had it been released. I think this is the closest way that it would have looked if it had been released for real. I don't know the eBayer's name, but if you type in Revenge of the Sith VHS, it will pop up, and I believe it was like $40 for the video and $10 to ship it. Yes, that's a lot of money, but you know what? He spent a lot of time to make that look so real. So anyway, this video has went on long enough, and I was just wanting to show you my tube TV, and that's what we did. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.